Happy Friday, everybody. Sam Chlebowski joining you here for another Motion.io product update live stream. Really excited to be joining you this week. We have a bunch of cool new stuff. And this week, we're going to really be drilling into one specific feature that has been long discussed by our team here at Motion.io, which is our project health scores. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. We'll take a look at the Motion.io changelog and the things that we have released this past week. But first, I want to just introduce myself in case you are new to Motion.io, maybe joining us for the first time. My name is Sam Chlebowski. I am one of the co-founders here at Motion.io. And every week, I do these live streams to go over the new things that we've released, as well as answer your questions, whether that's related to the things that we have just released, or new features, new functionality, or if it's just things that you want to know about Motion.io. So as we go through this, please feel free to write your comments, your questions directly in the chat, whether you're joining us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I will see those comments. I will respond to all of them in real time here. If you want to test out that comment functionality, I'd love to know, what are you up to this weekend? Where are you tuning in from? I am joining you here today from my home in Denver, Colorado. Typically, I'm in the office on Fridays for these, but a little bit of change of scenery this week. Decided to work from home today. Got some family in town I'm going to meet up with later here. We have a nice little fall festival in my neighborhood here. So really looking forward to that this weekend. But for right now, really excited to share everything that's new in Motion.io and walk you through some of these cool game-changing improvements that we've made over this past week. So without further ado, I want to go ahead, and typically the way that I start off these live streams is I'm going to start by going over our Motion.io changelog. And this is where we publish all of our latest updates and the things that we've added to the platform over the past week. So let me go ahead and bring this on up. We will just pop in and take a look here. Okay, just give me a second here. Okay, so here we go, and here we are on the Motion.io changelog. If you haven't visited this page before, I definitely recommend you check it out. We do put a little notification in the bottom right hand of your account whenever we do ship a new update, which, as you can see here, is going to be virtually every single Wednesday. But you can access this page at any time if you want to follow along, just by going to motion.io/changelog. Put that in the chat if you want to follow along here. But with that, let's take a look at the things that we have released this past week. So the big one I kind of gave a teaser of already, but that's going to be our new project health scores. And I'm going to get into why we developed this feature, the problems it solves, the things that you can do with it, because it really is a game changer, especially when you're managing a ton of projects at scale and you want to know the status of those projects. We've also added a bunch of stuff around support for emojis. This is something that, when we started Motion.io about 3 years ago, I would have never known how important it would be. I think that emojis are something that really made its way from personal conversations, texts, social media, and it made its way into the business world because it is at least in my opinion, this really great way to be able to communicate things, to be able to highlight some things. And it's almost like, a way to tell a story or give quick clarification if somebody's skimming through. And I've seen people and our users implement emojis into all areas of their projects. And this week we said, okay, let's double down. We don't want to make people hack around it, have to go to a third-party website. Let's build in emoji support in a more holistic way directly into the project. So that's what we've done this week. And we've added the ability to react with an emoji for activities and comments, as well as emoji support directly in stages and comments. So I'll show you what that looks like here in a little bit. We've also, as with every release, have a bunch of bug fixes and improvements, things to just make Motion.io operate smoother, but also just adjust a couple of things here and there based on the feedback we've been getting from users, based on the things that we know are important to you. So a couple of things here. We're not going to really be talking about too much of these. But then I'm also going towards the later half of our live stream today, I'm going to double click on a couple of things that we released last week. I did cover these in our live stream last week, but as is usually the case, there's some people who are tuning in for the first time that are new. So I do like to just do a quick recap. One of the big things that we released last week was the portal guest role. And this is really cool if you want to invite clients that you are working with in a more limited fashion so they can just see tasks and complete them without having access to some of the private details, some of the other things within your Motion.io projects that you don't want them to see. This is also especially useful for people like contractors where, hey, maybe you have a contractor you're working with, let's say, on a design project, and you want that contractor to be able to access a specific task they need to complete, but you don't want them fully in the project. You don't want them seeing the tracker or communicating with your team. So we will be talking about this, as well as the enhanced portal preview. That is a really easy way to determine, hey, should someone be a guest in a project or should they be a full client that you invite? So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then if we have time, I will circle back around to other things. These were both things we released at the very start of the month. The meeting notes with AI summaries. If we don't get to this, I will link a really cool video that I put out that shows you how to use this functionality, but then also you set up a Zap where you can automatically send your meeting notes from a tool like Otter, like Fathom, like Fireflies directly into Motion.io and use our meeting notes functionality to be able to automatically generate the tasks that you need your clients and team members to complete. So with that, I would also love to, before we really dive in and before I start showing you project health scores, if there's anything that is coming to mind, a reason why you joined this live stream today, something you want to see, something you have a question about, please go ahead and pop those questions into the chat right now. I'll make sure that we do get to them throughout this stream today. And I love answering those kinds of questions. If you have a question about, hey, can I set up this specific integration, or hey, Sam, how do I set up this specific thing with Zapier? Or how do I set up this type of automated workflow in my Motion.io projects? Plug those things into the chat. I'd love to hear about them for some insight into like the types of things that I'm capable of answering. I was probably one of Zapier's like first 100 users back in 2015. I've been using the platform for a long time. That is a area I have a ton of expertise in. And I know it's something a lot of our customers have questions about. Things like connecting your CRM to Motion.io to automatically kick off projects. So you don't even have to lay a finger or don't even have to worry about any type of manual data entry. I can talk about that. I can talk about how to automate things in your Motion.io projects. Even if it's super specific to you, even if it's something like, I'm running a HubSpot implementation business and I want to recommend Motion.io to my customers, but I want to know, how do I integrate things with HubSpot? I can get into all of that. Or things like Go High Level. Our team actually just came back. If anybody is in the audience here watching, Matt and Perry from our team just came back from the Go High Level Summit in Dallas this week. I unfortunately couldn't make it, but they really had great things to say, really great experience out there connecting with a bunch of folks in the Go High Level community. So I'm also happy to talk about the ways that we can integrate with that tool as well. That said, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into the first and biggest thing that I wanted to talk about today, which is going to be our new Project Health Scores feature. So before I show you my Motion.io account and I talk about how Project Health Scores work, first want to explain just very briefly of like why we added Project Health Scores. So one of the biggest questions that we have gotten for probably the last year or so is, how do I see all at once in one view where my various Motion.io projects are? And how can I know, what things are happening and what to prioritize? So project health scores are a way to give you that type of information. And I see we have a couple comments coming in, so just want to respond to those quickly now that we've talked a little bit about the background for project health scores. We have a question from Lauren. Do you think you'll introduce more organization capabilities like sorting, filtering folders for forms, project templates, and other back end things? Yeah, Lauren. So that's a great question. One of the things that really stands out here to me, and one of the kind of specific examples that you just shared with organization capability, specifically for forms. We were just talking about that this week, and I'm going to make sure I log a feature request here for you quick. Let me just take a note here on my end. And sorry about my noisy keyboard. I use a mechanical keyboard here when I'm at home. So it is, you might hear me clacking away a little bit here today. But for our, we were talking actually just this week about folders for forms. And I can show you a little bit of what Lauren is talking about here before we go ahead and get into our project health scores. Just give me 1 second here. So in Motion.io, we do have native forms, and I see we actually got the timing of your question, Lauren, was really great because we have another question from a viewer on Instagram, which that doesn't populate here for me. So I just keep a separate tab open on my other screen. So yes, to answer your question for the viewer on Instagram that asked this, yes, we do offer native forms. And they can be implemented at the template level. So in Motion.io, you can set up forms. We even have this AI-powered form builder where you can do things as simple as, you just tell it what to create. Create me a client onboarding form for website design clients. And when you click create form, Motion.io will go ahead and create that. But one of the things that Lauren asked about was the ability to have folders for forms. So right now we have this search option here. I'm sure you've seen that, Lauren. But we have realized, and this is a nice example of a form I built using our AI form builder. But one of the things that we have realized, and you can even see it here in my account, it gets a little bit unwieldy when you've been using Motion.io for a while. You have a lot of types of forms. So folders for these forms, to answer your question just once and for all, yes, this is on our radar. It's on our roadmap. And I will go ahead and log a feature request for you, Lauren. We'll make sure that that gets updated and that you get updates about that when we do push that update live. Also see we have a comment from Nikolai. Was an awesome event. Oh, so you're talking about the Go High Level event. That's awesome. Great to have you tuning in on the live stream here today, Nikolai, and hope you were able to meet our team. If they haven't been in touch already, you might have heard from Matt, but cool if you met Perry as well. So with that, now that we've answered and kind of wrapped up some of the questions there, I want to circle back around. Let's get into what, I'll be talking about the bulk of today, but please keep those questions coming. I love when people are engaged. They're asking various things about, what we're doing here. But with our project health scores feature, so the way that you're going to access this, talked a little bit about what they're for, but really it's an answer to the question of where do my projects stand? And we really had to think a long time about what is the best way to display this type of information. So if you've been using us for some time, you may have noticed that this status bar over here has gone through a couple of iterations. We also have a number of filters here that you can use to sort your various types of projects from the page. But what we had found is that even with the status bar, it'll tell you the number of tasks that are overdue, the number of tasks that are completed out of those that were assigned. But it still never really gave you a sense of, where does my project stand? So after, weeks, if not months of discussion, we finally came around to this idea of a project health score that would be a really simple, really streamlined way to see exactly the overall health of the project. So now when you come to your project's dashboard, you're going to see a score here. And all of the scores, it's important to point out that these are going to be out of 100. And the way that these scores are calculated, if you ever want a just quick refresher, it's going to be based on project activity, client engagement, and task completion. So, what does that mean? Well, project activity, that's going to mean things like the number of uh, things that a client has done within a project out of the things that you've assigned. So, uploading files, responding to things. Client engagement is going to be, are they commenting on things? Are they opening the emails that are being sent to them? And they all have a little bit of different weights. One of the biggest weights that impacts your project health score is going to be the number of tasks completed out of the number of tasks assigned, with penalties for overdue tasks. So, what does this mean for specific projects is probably the question that you're answering next. Well, we also, in addition to this score here that you can see accessible on your project dashboard, when you can drill into any of your projects and you can know how this score was being calculated. So let me first start off by going into this Tate's Tater Tots project. It's a website redesign project. Looks like it's going pretty well. And it has a health score of 77, which is good. When I click into here, if I navigate to the home tab of this project, and if you're unfamiliar with this view, this is something I definitely recommend that's you start using. It can be really helpful for seeing just a general like status overview of a specific project. With this overview up at the top, it'll also highlight overdue tasks and activity, as well as any notes that you've created. But one of the biggest and newest areas of the home tab of your projects is the project health score. And you can see now a specific breakdown. Okay, so for activities, this is a measure of overall activity per eligible task. So client comments, messages, reactions on a task. And eligible tasks mean that they're things that were assigned to the client. It's not going to apply to your team tasks because that is, most often private internal discussion. You're talking about how things are, going in the project. You're collaborating privately with your team. So it is important to note that we include just eligible tasks here. So meaning tasks assigned to your clients. There's also then a measure of the tasks in general. So this is task completion with penalties for overdue tasks, like I just mentioned, as well as emails, which is going to measure the number of emails that clients invited to the project have opened and clicked the links up. And every score is calculated out of 100, and it's going to roll up to this primary project health score. And you can see here, great. Okay, this probably means that my client isn't, because activities is only 64 out of 100. This is going to mean that my client, hasn't been commenting on things, but that's okay because if they are just going in and completing something, they don't always need to comment or react to something if they've completed it. That actually probably means that it was straightforward for them. And you'll notice that, even though this is 64 out of 100, because these categories all have different weights, it's not going to, negatively impact the score in a huge significant way and like push it to, into the red. Tasks, however, is going to be an important one. Like I said, this is going to be the most important thing that impacts your overall project health score. The number of tasks completed out of the number of tasks assigned. And then emails is another one. This is also weighted a little bit less than tasks, just because, maybe a client isn't opening every single email. But it is helpful to call out that this is not like the number of activities they've done. This is a score. So we calculate this on the back end where it's 64 out of 100, 70 out of 100, 100 out of 100, and then it all rolls up to this large project health score. So another question, now that you know kind of how this works and the various things you can do with it, what are the other ways that you can use this to get that project visibility? Because these health scores, I think, are one of the most important reporting day-to-day reporting metrics, especially if you are a manager, a team leader, a owner, a founder, because it really gives you the ability to see all of your projects at a glance, know exactly where they stand without having to, follow up with the team members running those projects or nag them for an update or something like that. Instead, you can go right into your project's dashboard and see at a glance all of the various projects you're running. One of the cool things that we've also added within your project's dashboard to support project health scores is you now have this filter for low health score. So, for example, if I wanted to see out of all of my active projects what has a low health score, what I could do is apply this filter and I could see, oh, okay, these two projects, concrete construction and Sally Jenkins reporting, these are not going so well. They have a score of 5. So it's probably time to check in on those. And then I can drill in here and get a quick overview of why these scores are so low. Oh, okay. Well, there was a couple of activities, but there's no active tasks that have been completed. No emails have been sent. And this is something that's like, oh, okay, a team member probably dropped the ball on this project. So let me go follow up on that one right away. In addition, there's all types of cool things that you can do with these project health scores when you are filtering them. So in my case, I have a motion.io project tag. Project tags, if you're not familiar, you can set up by going to your settings page. And I have this tag that's called needs follow-up. So let's say I am a team lead and I am managing a couple of different team members who are running projects of their own as the project owners, but I'm kind of overseeing all of those various team members. What I might want to do if I come in the morning and I see, hey, there's 2 projects with a low health score, what I could do is I could even apply my tag that says needs follow-up and quickly understand that, oh, I can't do anything about this right now, but later today I'm going to circle back around and I have these 2 projects tagged that I know need some follow-up. And we can keep an eye on these as we go. On the flip side, it provides a really great way to skim through your projects. So you don't need to click into every project to see what's happening or get a sense of how things are progressing. And it's, are our projects running smoothly? Because I can very clearly see here that these couple of projects, Tate's Tater Tots, Sunny's Sandos, Lakewood Financial, these are all going good. I don't need to click into these to see what's going on because I can see it right here in the health score that this is in the green. Green means good to go. If I wanted to drill into this, I could to get, some insights of, how can we get to this to 100? But in general, I would say like if anything is in the green, that probably means everything's running smoothly. Anything in the blue, maybe you want to check in on. We also have another indicator here that's a orangish yellow color. That is like, I believe if a project score is like 25 to 35, I believe. But it gives you a very quick and easy way to assess what is the health of my projects? Where do they stand? Another thing that you can do too is if you haven't used this projects dashboard and the filters over here, it's really there's a lot of useful stuff that we've added, and I think sometimes it goes overlooked. One of the other things that you could do, in my case, I have just, how many projects do I have in my account? I only have 10 projects here right now. But if I had a ton of projects and a ton of different project owners, one thing I might want to do is, see which team member has the most projects with a low health score. I could apply a filter that was low health score. I could then select a project owner. And I can see, oh, Sam, which is me in this case, has the most projects that are falling behind. Man, I should probably go follow up with Sam. Like, what is going on here? Why are we falling behind on these various things? So that really is project health scores in a nutshell. Any questions about this? Anything that you want to ask, or you have questions about the way that you can use this functionality. Happy to dive in, go into additional details there. But we're really excited to have this functionality just because I think, especially from a management perspective, it makes things so much easier on your end to be able to see what is the status of my projects, be able to filter through them easily, and get these high level insights without having to get necessarily into the nitty gritty details. So it's something we're really excited about. If you've been using it, if there's things you have feedback about it, let us know. This is, we just released this, and with any release, we're oftentimes making some kind of smaller tweaks as we go. So let us know if you have feedback. It'll be something that we'll definitely be implementing. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll talk about our next feature here today. And then just as a reminder, I see we do have a couple of people who have tuned in since we started. So just to let you know, give you a refresher, I do answer every single question. That is my guarantee for you. So if you are just tuning into the live stream, please feel free, ask your questions about anything related to motion.io, even if it's outside of this. Plug those questions in on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you're tuning in from. I will be answering any question you put in live. So with that, I want to get into our next feature that we have added just this week, which is enhanced emoji support. And I'm going to go back into my motion.io account, and let's go ahead and show you the various things that we have added and the various things that you can do with this latest update. So pop my screen back up. Okay, so first, and the biggest thing that I think is really, really cool of what we've added is you now have the ability to react with emojis. So this is going to operate almost the exact same way as like if you are using iMessage or something like that, or commenting on social. The way that you can like add an emoji to react with something is exactly what we've now added for comments and activities in motion.io. So I'm going to pop into a message here in my message center. Or actually, I'm going to pop into a project I have going on just to show you what it looks like. So I have this project from with Lakewood Financial, and I see that we have this account access task here. And this is an exchange I built out just so I wouldn't have to like do it and go back and forth on the back end. But I built out this like exchange where I impersonated my client to show you what this looks like, where I have this task for Mike Smith of Lakewood Financial to give us access to his various ad accounts, the things that we'll need to run digital advertising for him. So Google Analytics, LinkedIn, Meta, stuff like that. Mike puts in a comment. He says, not sure if I sent you access to our LinkedIn account correctly. Can you confirm if you can access on your end? And I said, good to go. Mike was able to thumbs up that without even having to respond. And I can do this similar thing with any other type of comment in here where I can go and just add an emoji. And I don't really want to use the frowny face there, but maybe I want to say, hey, great work for completing that checklist, Mike. I can go ahead and add and just respond to an emoji with that. And this is, if you're like me, one of the things that I'm often doing, even in like texts with my friends, is I won't always respond to something if I'm busy. Maybe it's the middle of the workday. I will just, give them a thumbs up or something. I know, a lot of us do this where you just don't have time to write a response, but you want to let them know, whether this is a client, whether it's a team member, that you received something. So you can react directly within your tasks with any of the available emojis. And this just makes this is the big benefit, I think, for this, like at the end of the day, like high level thinking. And the reason why while it might seem silly at first, we did choose to add this, and we did choose to focus and spend, a development cycle on it. Is it provides a lot more engaging experience for clients. So if I'm in here and I want to impersonate a client here real quick, you saw me commenting in the admin area, but this is going to work in the exact same way for your clients and make it provide a lot more engaging portal experience for them. Something that might even feel, dare I say, fun for your clients to use and be able to, kind of communicate and correspond with you in your portal or in their portal on their end. So I'm in here in my client's portal. You saw the admin area of this Lakewood financial project where we're running digital advertising. And now you're seeing the client facing front end. And in the tasks, if I'm Mike here, I can go ahead and, I have a task here to schedule a kickoff call with an embedded calendar. Mike could go ahead, schedule his time, and I'll just respond as Mike. And in addition to using an emoji reaction, you can also add emojis directly to tasks, and you don't have to like copy paste anything. Nope, we have the little emoji widget right there. Mike will put in a thumbs up. He'll tag me in that comment. And then back in the behind the scenes view, and whoops, just pause my browser there. In the behind the scenes view, Mike on his end can go, or I can respond to that message that Mike tagged me in and say, hey, Mike, awesome. Looking forward to it. With a little celebration icon. While I'm at it, I also want to point out something here that we added just the other week to Motion.io that I think is helpful now that we're looking at a task here. Just to point out, you do have the ability within Motion.io when you comment on tasks to make things only visible to your team members. So in this comment here, I responded to Mike with some text, with an emoji. But let's say I wanted to also let my team know that Mike had scheduled his call. Maybe somebody else is responsible for doing these kickoff calls, or maybe there's other people that I want to invite. I could go ahead and tag my teammate, Jenny Jacobs. Mike has scheduled, just invited you to the invite. And I can post this privately if I want to loop in a team member. And these public private comments can be really useful, especially if you are, trying to manage your team communication, want to be able to go in and just, communicate privately without the client seeing. I do see we have a question here, so I want to pop that up here. Lauren says, we're using this update already. It's nice to acknowledge messages quickly without overcrowding comments. Yeah, I could not agree more. And I think that that's a really great point. Something I actually didn't call out, Lauren, that that's one of the things that is nice. I feel like on the client end, and a big like pillar of, what I believe, what the rest of our team believes here at Motion.io is clients really want that confirmation of what are you working on? What have you done? What is our status for getting there? And something as simple as just confirming that you read something can really go a long way for that client transparency and that ability to know that your team is taking care of it and their project is in a good standing. So really glad to know that that is helpful for you. So we talked a little bit about emoji support for task comments, being able to react with emojis. Another thing that we've added emoji support for, which was honestly kind of surprising, is we had noticed that in our users project templates, it was wild to see how many people were using emojis in their project stages. So in the stage names here that you can see in this project, we've had a ton of people that like to use emojis in these. And previously, you kind of had to hack around it, where you could go to a third-party site, grab an emoji, paste it in. Now, in both your projects and templates, you can add emojis directly to the names of your stages without having to leave at all. So I could add an emoji for onboarding, for campaign setup. Maybe I want to do a little, let's see, a little hammer and wrench emoji to indicate the setup of that. This is something pretty cool that you can do now. I think this is really great for client clarity and visibility. Just giving them a very quick explanation of where they're at, what's going on, adding some more, personalization to every one of your projects. This is also going to work in templates. And I do want to just click into templates here really quick because I know that we had that question earlier from a viewer on Instagram about if native forms can be implemented in the template level. The answer to that is yes. And I'm going to quickly show you what the template editing process looks like where, just to answer that question, to double click on this, let's say, I'm quickly going to delete this task to complete the onboarding form. And let's go ahead and add a new task. Assign it to the client. And then the way that you add a form to a task in a template is you just click the forms option over here and attach it. And then every single time you create a new project from this template, what Motion.io is going to do is bring this task in your project automatically. But if you are, wanting to set up a template, add emojis to it, to the stage name specifically, if you do that within your template, these will carry through to any projects you create from it. So let me find a good thing to add. Maybe I want to do this, this writing hand icon. I could go ahead and add that to the task like so. And I see we have a comment here from Nikolai. So let's go ahead and pop that up on the screen here. Quick context, we build sales systems, CRM plus automations, and content, emails, SMS. Tech team is RevOps strategist plus CRM integrator. Content team is marketing strategist plus copywriter. What's the simplest strategy to set up Motion.io so tech and content can run in parallel and meet at 2 checkpoints? Okay to build, okay to launch, while the client sees one clean plan. Please show the project template you use, the status approvals for those 2 gates, where assets get uploaded, approved. Okay, this is a juicy question, Nikolai. Thanks so much for sending this in. I've actually got through the biggest things that we've released this week. So let's go ahead and get into this. So I want to break this down, kind of rephrase it. I know there's a lot of information here. What you are looking to do, and please chime in, say, Sam, you are wrong if this was not what you're looking for. But okay, so high level, you have you are doing basically a CRM implementation, and then you are also doing marketing strategy with clients. So there's kind of 2 phases, and you want them to run in parallel, but then meet up at a very specific point. So there's a couple of ways that you could do this. And what I will say is Motion.io is incredibly flexible. So what I'll show you is if it doesn't work for some reason, there's adjustments that you can make. And we provide you with a lot of tools to get this workflow set up the exact way you want, that works best for your business. So what I would say here is, let's break this down here. So first of all, you asked for the project template I'd use, the statuses and approvals for those 2 gates, where assets get uploaded and approved. So let's go ahead and let's zero in to maybe what this would look like first from the CRM setup and integration side. So I'm going to go into Motion.io. And what I would suggest for this, Nikolai, is that you create just a new template from scratch. And I could have 2. What I'm going to do here is we're going to run the project in one place, but then we're going to import different stages to be able to track both of these things. So what I'll go ahead and do is Um, how would you maybe describe your types of projects where you are? Because they are like two like sort of different areas where there's the CRM integration and setup, but there's also like the marketing strategy. What types of clients are these? Are these like, what do you call them? So I guess sales systems maybe clients. I think that would probably work for this. I can change this name later. Sales. Let's call this just sales system implementation. I'm going to add myself here as the project owner, and I'm going to create this project from scratch. So what I want to do here is I would say I'm trying to think of whether this would be better as two separate projects or two or a single project. I think actually I'm gonna revert what I just said. Let's have one template that's going to be sort of the CRM integration, and then another template that is the marketing system setup. CRM integration. Okay, so I'm going to rename this. And then what I would do here is you could add a stage. What I will do in this case is I'm going to create a stage using our new AI task builder. So I can go ahead and I'm going to create a stage. So I'm going to tell this AI task builder, please create an onboarding stage for clients where we are setting up their CRM system. Please collect onboarding form detailing their current sales process and the systems they are currently using. What else will we ask for this type of client? Onboarding for, and that might be all we need. Ask them to schedule a call to walk through their current system. So I'm going to use the AI task builder to generate a quick stage. This might not be perfect, just because, I don't have the full details from you. If I were, if we were meeting here, Nikolai, like one-to-one, I would really dig into this, get some more details from you. But for the purpose of this demo, I just want to show you how this works. So let's go ahead and I realized I hadn't been sharing my screen. So I use our AI task builder to create this stage. And it has just a couple of tasks for the client to complete. We have the onboarding information form that Motion.io created. We have a task to set up the CRM system. And maybe I might want to break this into a separate stage. So I'd say CRM setup. Cool. Let's go ahead and just change a couple of these things here. I'm going to change this to finalize launch. So cool. Like I said, I'm not going to build this out fully, but let's say that we wanted to have two types of projects. So this is going to be one of them, the CRM integration. And let's create another new template called sales/marketing system. Once again, I'll set myself as the project owner. Let's go ahead and once again, I'm going to prompt our AI task builder. And I do see we have a question from Ruby, I think specific to the AI task builder. Should we format our action items and task like in a more bullet point style to make sure it gets all of them? Most of the time, I'm now uploading about 15 to 20 different tasks. Yeah, so if you're referring to our AI task builder here, Ruby, I would say in general, I find it is the best sort of way that you can prompt this is if you are going to include a list of bullet points. I find that it really does a good job when you are detailing things that way. I have a good example of this for this marketing and sales system setup that I will go ahead and show you. Let me just find it here really quick. So I want to find, I didn't know we're going to talk about this today, so I just have to find this prompt that I created really quick. Example. Aha, here we go. I found it. Okay, so I have a quick bulleted list here. So for this project, which is the other part of Nikolai's workflow that he wants to run in parallel, I'm going to collect a couple of different things. So our clients must. So in this project, we're going to ask them to complete an onboarding form detailing their products, services, audience, and content voice. They're also going to upload brand assets, including product photos, team photos, brand guidelines, and logo photos. So I'm going to use the AI task builder to create a new stage here in this other template I'm setting up. And Nikolai, I would love to know, has this been helpful so far? Do you have any questions about, what I've shown you? Please let me know. Happy to get your feedback as we go through this. And I'm glad to hear that others are finding that this is helpful as well. So I see, while I wait for this, oh, and there it goes. The AI builder did its work. Pop this question from Ruby up. I'm also loving the feature of the AI meeting summary to where I can now create tasks for my meetings. I'm going to have a meeting with myself and creating the task from there as well for portals. Love to hear that you're finding value in our AI meeting tool, Ruby. That's awesome. I think it's super duper helpful. It's a really streamlined way to just create those quick action items after a meeting for yourself. And I will respond to this other question here, Ruby, in a little bit. But I want to finish up this flow for that we're showcasing for Nikolai. So in this case, the AI builder didn't do things exactly as I wanted, but that's not a problem. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm just going to drag a couple of these tasks. I want all of these tasks in the same stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly delete the things in here. I don't need them. So, but overall, the AI builder did do a great job. So I'll just delete these kind of extraneous stages. But what you will see with our AI task and stage builder is that it's going to even create the forms that you want to send to clients. So one of the specific questions I know Nikolai had was, how do clients upload the various things that we need them to provide? So it's right here. We have a task where the client can upload product photos, team photos, brand guidelines, logo photos. I'm going to make a couple of quick adjustments just to show you how the task editing process works. When you in your task click this file uploads option, you have the ability to specify the different types of files. So you could have them just go into one place. But in this case, I want to make it really, really clear to the client of, hey, exactly what files do you need to provide? So I'm going to create separate sections for team photos, product photos, brand guide, and logo files. Okay. And we will just go ahead and save that. So when a client goes to complete this and goes to upload a file, or their files to complete this task, Nikolai, this is exactly what they're going to see. So they will upload these various things in here, and it's going to go directly into their client portal. And I will show you what this is going to look like on the client's end. But as far as this task goes, this view you see here in the modal, nearly identical to what they'll see. But I will show you, just for the sake of clarity, what this is going to look like on the client's end in their portal and not in the admin backend. And then I know that your other question was, okay, how do we, as a team, have these clients or have these projects run in parallel and meet at a specific point? Well, that's a really great question. So what you could do is, once all of these tasks were completed, we could trigger a automation. And I'm going to call this automation merge projects. Or let's call it maybe something like project kickoff or launch. What I could do is, when all of the tasks in the sales and marketing system project were completed, what I could go ahead and do, so we'll say if stage onboarding preparation is completed, we're going to go ahead and first we're going to send an email. So I'm going to notify myself that hey, this stage has been completed. It's time to combine these projects into one. And then what we could also do is I could go ahead and add an additional automation back in my CRM integration project, where if all tasks completed, archive. So let's say that this CRM integration, this is the project where, and I think that this is probably what would work best for you, Nikolai, if when both of the stages in this project are completed, what we'll do is we can go ahead and we're just going to archive the various stages in this project just to move them out of the way. Because what we can then do is continue on with our sales and marketing system project, where what we could do is, after this onboarding stage was completed, I could go ahead and set up a separate automation that maybe this imported tasks that were directly related to like the ongoing work. So I could call this, ongoing management. So what we'll do is, when the first initial stages are completed, we'll archive those other stages to move them out of the way for the client. And then in this project, we can go ahead and import an entire template that is related to other work that we'll be doing for them after the onboarding stage in both of these separate projects are completed. So we could import, for example, the campaign setup stage. We could also import a stage, for example, for campaign launch. And then finally import a stage for, which one should we do here? We'll do updates, optimization, ongoing work. So with this, this import stage ability is something I definitely recommend you use in your case, because what it's going to allow you to do is, once something is wrapped up, you're then able to import an entire new set of things for your team, for your clients to complete. So now the question is, what is, how do we run these projects in tandem? What does it look like from the client's end? So the way you would do this is, I'm going to go ahead, create a project. Let's call this Lakewood Financial CRM setup. So I'm going to create one project from my CRM integration project. And then, just very quickly, I'll invite another. I'll create another project for our marketing system setup. And I'll go ahead, what we're going to do, use that other template that I created. Now, I can quickly go into my client directory here. And just to make this really clear, super duper clear, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to remove them from this other Lakewood. I'm going to remove Mike from this other project here. And I'm going to very quickly add him to the CRM setup project as well. I'm going to add Mike to both projects here. So I'll click save. And now let's go ahead and view this portal as Mike to show you what it looks like here. So great. In the project, Mike can see both of these projects running in tandem, where there's the onboarding stages, there's all of the various, portal pages related to these tasks, and Mike can view the status of these right from his homepage here. So these can run in tandem, and then, maybe after the CRM setup was complete, go ahead and archive that, run everything in the marketing project, or you could even invite him to a third project and just archive both of these if you wanted to. And yeah, I see that you have a question here, Mike. Is there Nikolai? Is there a reason you don't have those tasks from the imported stage within the same project? So I did that. I used the import stage action to show you, one of the options. If you wanted to, though, you could 100% just have all of those tasks that you need in one single project. So, for example, if you wanted to build out everything in the marketing setup project, you could totally do that and just not display them until the project progressed to a certain point. The way that you would do that instead is in your template, you could go ahead and set up, what you could do here. Let me just go ahead. I'll import a stage from another project. There's another really useful feature if you are new to Motion Audio and haven't seen this before. As you're building your templates, you can actually import stages from other templates if you need to. So for example, I'm going to import some stages from this marketing services template. So we'll do campaign creative. Well, actually, let's just do this campaign setup stage. So I can import this. So yeah, Nikolai, if I wanted to, I would, you could totally, if this works better for you, just, I'm going to delete these other automations we added to the project. And I'll create a separate automation that's onboarding completed, activate setup stage. So instead of like archiving things or importing them from another project, I could go ahead and say if stage onboarding preparation is completed, then activate stage campaign setup. And that would happen automatically once these first 3 tasks were completed. And I can also, even if I wanted to, I could hide this from the project progress tracker. So it wouldn't even be visible until the client had actually done these first couple of things. So yeah, totally an option there, Nikolai, and hope this was helpful. If you want to dig into this deeper, I can have Matt reach out to you. I'm sure he'd be willing to like go back and forth and really get this set up in a great way for you. Want to circle back on some other questions here though, quick, that I did see come in. So we have a question from Lauren here. I'm also curious about grouped projects or parent-child projects. We currently have about 15 projects that are technically under a larger parent project, but we have them all as separate projects. That is a really interesting idea, Lauren. So another thing that we've actually been talking about, this is a really timely comment for us in terms of grouping parent-child projects, is one of the things we've been discussing. And I'm making a quick note of this for myself. One of the things I would love to know from you, Lauren, is so for these 15 projects that you're discussing, or that you mentioned, are they all associated with one company? If so, that's a big thing that has been on our minds lately and something we've gotten requests for is the ability to basically associate projects with a specific company. So for example, let's say, just for a silly example, let's say I'm working with Barnes and Noble and I'm running 5 different projects with Barnes and Noble. The feature that we've been talking about is you could basically have all 5 of those projects grouped under Barnes and Noble at like a company level, be able to see all of them, be able to filter through those. And you said, yes, cool. That's awesome. It's great to know that that is like something similar to what you're looking for. And I did take a note. I'll log a feature request for that as well. Great suggestion, by the way. These are cool. And I see that was a part of your other question. Inter-project communication or relation would be helpful in that kind of situation. Yeah. So, and that seems like it would be something like maybe being able to message a company. Is that kind of like what you were thinking about? Maybe what was like kind of on your mind there? Definitely let me know. I also wanted to double click on a couple of these questions from Ruby. And you said, one second here. We created a parent project for tasks for decision makers as well that runs somewhat separately as from the projects. Really interesting. Yeah, it seems like there's probably a better way that we can solve that in our application. So I'm definitely taking a note on that as well. Created a parent project for tasks that runs. And once again, sorry about the keyboard if you hear me clacking away. So a question that Ruby asked earlier that I want to make sure we got answered. Now, is it a way for the task to create only the task title, but can they also add it into the description, or at least give us an area that we can copy and paste the description? So Ruby, yeah, Ruby's talking about here about our AI notes functionality. So yeah, let me go ahead. Let me show you an example of this here, Ruby. I'll pop back into my account. Because what you're asking about is possible. Let me see here. So I'm going to go into one of my projects here. And just for a quick recap, Ruby's asking for the AI meeting notes if it's possible for them to add information to the description. And the answer to that is yes, but it's going to depend. You need, like, it's all going to depend on what your transcript is. So, for example, if you didn't like go into what those action items are, and the transcript has nothing to base the task creation on, it's going to be pretty limited of the tasks it creates. But what I can show you here, I think I have an example of this. Oh yeah, here we go. Actually, no. Let me just add a meeting quick, and this will act as also a de facto demo of our AI meeting notes functionality here. So I think I called this, yeah. So I have a transcript here that I generated using the Fathom AI note taker tool. So what I'm going to do here, this was a project between Gusto Growth and Moxie Beverage Co. So I'm going to copy the text of this transcript. And as I'd mentioned earlier, there is a way to do this with Zapier to automatically send notes over. But for this example, I'm just going to go ahead and manually paste in my notes here. I'm going to click Summarize with AI, and I'm going to show you, because this is a transcript that I know is a good one, where we discussed specific action items. There's specific things to do. I'm going to wait for this to generate. And the AI transcription is in progress. Sometimes it does take a couple minutes. The AI just needs a couple minutes to think. But I do just want to show you the full process for this here. Ruby, because I think it's a great question, especially about some of our newest functionality, which is this AI meeting notes tool. And as we wait, Nikolai, you're welcome. Glad I could be helpful. I will make sure that Matt sends you a follow up after this with some more information on how to get into that specific setup. And I'm actually going to, while I wait for our AI transcript to generate, I'm going to send him a message now, actually. Okay, so let's see. I believe our AI transcription should be good to go. Just to show you this, I'm sorry to make all of you wait. Still not ready for me yet. Let me try and reload it here. Oh, there it goes. Sweet. So what you'll see now here, Ruby, is I have my AI summary after pasting in my meeting notes. And what you can see here at the bottom is, like I had mentioned, in this meeting, we discussed some very specific action items. If you are not already doing so, what I would say is make sure you're using a AI transcription tool like Fathom, like Otter, like Fireflies. And if you are already, what I would suggest to you is make sure to be like explicit. If you know there are action items coming up, call those out during the meeting, because if you do and say them clearly, so for example, like on this call, I know I said to Susan Aubrey, hey, Susan, after this call, I'll send you an action item to send us the latest product photography. If I say that, the meeting transcription tool will catch that. And what you can see is that when I paste the notes in here, is motion.io will actually do that here. And it will go ahead and add that information to the description. So it all depends on how much context you're giving the AI. If you are giving it enough, it's going to even do things like assign the correct person. So, for example, one of the action items I said I was going to do is, it was very explicit on this call with Moxie Beverages. I said, hey, so after this call, I'm going to get to work producing 3 new creative mockups for you and send you those new static ad versions. When I give the AI that context, it's going to go ahead, add the title, assign me as the correct person, also add those details to the project. And from here, all I would have to do maybe is add a quick checklist where I could go, add creative 1, assign that to myself. Not going to set a due date just for the sake of keeping this short. Add creative 2, also assign that to myself. Whoops. And then just very quickly activate that. And I have all of the information that I need right there. And I see there's a follow-up question that Ruby had. Can I call out the action items on the right side, such as select proofs, and it turns that on? Yes, absolutely. So from these tasks, and this is a great thing, is that you can edit these tasks as much as you'd like. And what you'll see in the meeting transcripts is once you create a task from it, you'll know exactly what task that is, because it'll have this little hourglass icon next to it. And so, for example, with this task, I could go in and edit this. And yeah, I could add proofing to it if I wanted to. Let me just add, I'm just going to add some example images. And certainly, if I wanted to add proofs to that, I could. I could even go wild, add stuff like a signature. You were able to use any of these task options in addition to the things that Motion generates for you already. So I hope that's helpful and solves your problem. And before we go here, I want to just answer. I know we had like 1 or 2 final questions here that I'll dig into. Okay. And it looks like we might have answered everything. One last question here before we go. I mean, like prior to opening the task, can it automatically do that instead of having to edit it? Can it call it out at the very beginning where I can tell it to add the attached file feature? So with that, it would need there's a couple of things that it would need in order to do that. Number one, the AI would need the files that you're sending. The AI would also need like very explicit instructions to the proofs. I will say at the moment, probably not. You're still going to have to do things like that manually. But the good news is this gets you at least most of the way there. It's just, with very detailed stuff like that of like attach XYZ file, the AI is not going to be able to retrieve those files, I don't think, reliably just yet. That's a place that, don't get me wrong, we definitely want to get to. That's really just an implementation of AI, and we use OpenAI's API for our API features in Motion.io. It's a great idea, and I do love it, but I don't think something that's possible at the moment. Thank you all so much for these great questions today. This has been a blast. I really loved getting into some of these deeper things within Motion.io, talking about AI meeting notes and the ways that you can use that, even building out a full-on template. That was fun. And as promised, I say it every week, but I guarantee every question gets answered. So with that, this has been a blast, y'all. Stay on the lookout. I do these webinars or these live streams every single week at the exact same time, 10:30 Mountain Time. So it was great to see you all. And see you again next Friday. And you're so welcome, Lauren, Ruby, the other people who've been commenting, Nikolai. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Friday. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.